everyone. So today we are going to be making this really cute shaker card. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cut two pieces. One piece I used these wonky rectangles. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my surface, my background surface, with this anti-static bag. Next, I'm taking this big background stamp right here. This is the star of the show by TheAlleyWayStamps. Okay, I'm just going to take a Versamark ink pad here and ink this up really well. And when you're using a Versamark ink pad, and you are going to have to double stamp this. So double stamp, I mean that you're going to have to stamp it twice. I like to line this up, stamp it, and then emboss it so that I can see where the actual little images are, because it's really hard to see the Versamark ink on white paper. So I'm stamping that, going ahead and putting, this is Wow embossing powder and this is the glow in the dark. And I'm only using it on where I know the actual scene is going to be. So I'm just going to take it like that. Now I'm going to heat it up. Okay, so I'm just going to take some Dusty Concord here. Just rub that on the bottom of portion of this. And then next is Salty Ocean. Okay, and then last is Tumbled Glass. And then I'm just taking, this is just a dry paper towel that I've used before, and I'm just taking it and kind of rubbing it on top of the stars to take off any of the color that might be on top of the embossing. So you can see this piece, it is so beautiful. It goes from a purple and then to like a dark purplish blue and then a light blue. That is what we wanted. Isn't that so awesome? I'm in love with this piece. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to turn this into a shaker, which is going to be awesome. This is going to be the base of the shaker. I like to work from my base up. I just feel like it's a lot easier and it gives you something to work with, like as your background to build off of. Okay, now there are so many different ways you can make a shaker. Use whatever you have on hand. You don't have to go and buy special products to do this. So you can use foam adhesive. You can use if you don't have foam adhesive, you can use cardstock and just build up cardstock to make it higher on the edges. You can make a shaker like that. You can do all sorts of different things. I'm going to take this piece of foam. This is just from the craft section. I find like this is very easy to manipulate, like to turn and different things like that. And I want this to be around the edge of the where the shaker piece is going to go. And if you remember we have that kind of indentation, that line of where it's going to go, because when I cut this piece out for my window, I did it together so that that line will show up. So I don't have to continually figure out or draw a line where it's going to go. So all I'm going to do is, I'm going to start at one spot here. Just puts down some Tombow Mono multi-glue, if it'll come out. So just put some Tombow Mono multi-glue down here at the edge. Now, my line for this project is actually here, so I don't want it to go all the way like right to that line. I want it to go a little bit before that line so that you don't see the foam. So I'm just going to take it here. And I'm actually going to do double pieces. I want this to be a really thick shaker. You can do it as thin or as thick as you want. Okay, so there we have our piece, and we are just going to let this completely dry. That's one of the most important keys there. And you can see that it's not pretty, but you're not going to see it. And on top of that, it doesn't really matter as long as all the corners touch and you have some sort of a base. That's the only thing that matters. Okay, so to mimic the card, I've done the exact same thing to the front panel, and so this will actually go on top of the shaker when we're ready. So the next thing I'm going to do is take a piece of paper, and this is Deep in the Woods. I'm going to take this little tree here and stamp that up a bunch of times onto this paper. I'm also going to stamp this cute little raccoon right there. I want the blacks to match, so I'm going to quickly stamp him. Oops. And since VersaFine stays wet for a second, I'm going to grab my clear Wow embossing powder and quickly just heat emboss him. Okay, so I just heat embossed him, and that's a great way to, if you want to use VersaFine, this is by far the best black ink that I've found that I love, but it doesn't play well with Copic markers, and so if you heat emboss it, the Copic markers won't bleed from the black, and it also won't ruin the nibs of the markers. So that's just a little tip. Okay, for all of the trees here, I'm going to use my distressed inks here. I don't have little finger daubers thingies, which I probably should invest in and get, but I don't. So I'm going to take, and I always start with my lightest color because you can go on top of lighter colors to make it darker, but it's hard to take dark off of light. So I'm just going to lightly spread some of this yellow onto the tops of the trees. And that was just squeezed lemonade. Next is the peeled paint. And you'll notice that with these, because the ink is, I just freshly inked that and I didn't dry it, so when I put the color on, I'm going to kind of go down and go kind of in a swirling motion because I want the trees to have a little more texture on them. I'm just going to switch over here to the walnut stain. Just in the corner. There we go. Okay, so I just have C1, C3, C4, and C5 for this cute little raccoon here. Okay, now I've cut all these out. Ta-da! Magic of the TV camera. Anyway, and so I'm going to now do the top of the card before I place the acetate on. And the reason for that is I want it to have some dimension, and there's going to be some on the front and on the back. So I'm going to just start off with placing. Some of these are going to be dimensional, and then some of them are going to be right up against the back of this. So this one's going to be dimensional. So I'm just going to take it and place a couple of foam dots right there. And I've bent the corners up a little bit of the tree just to give it a little added dimension. And then just placing it kind of down where I want it. Like that. Now the next tree, I think I'm gonna have it high up like that. So some of it's a little bit concealed. So what I'm going to do is just take my, okay, my Tombow Mono Multi Glue, and just place a little right there. And then the key and the trick to this is to flip this over this way so that you can see where your tree or your item is going to be, and then push it down with your finger so that you have the end result right there. See? Like that. Now, I'm not going to leave all this hanging down here at the bottom, just it's not my thing. However, I am going to leave him. So I'm just going to take this and carefully cut off all those pieces. Okay, so now I have this clear sheet here of acetate. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to fill inside of our shaker. You can put anything you want in here. As long as the corners are touching, you can seriously add anything except for liquid. So I'm going to put some sparkling clear. These are the 4mm from Pretty Pink Posh. And I am just going to put some of these in there. And then going with our star themed here, I have some wood veneer pieces. And you can do a couple things with them. If you wanted them to be just wood, you can just place them in here like this. Or I have blue ones, which you can see. Or you can color them. I, however, want like the earthy feel. So I'm just going to be placing a few of just the wood ones in here. Okay, and then I also have these little trees here. So I am going to take a few of those. And I want the little small ones here. I knew I had something else I wanted to add. When I placed my order, Paulina put these cute little stars in here and put the cute little note. That was so nice of her. So I am going to take and put a few of these in here as well. Okay, so before placing my card down, I like to take it and kind of put it together on the side and just slide it to make sure that it's actually going to be a shaker card. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to use glossy accents. And I am going to take and just place glossy accents around the foam. I just feel like glossy accents sticks best to acetate. All right. Then just kind of line up your card here. The edges. Press down, making sure that it's not really moving. Okay, so then I have the sentiment here that says enjoy life. This is actually coming out in May, but it's perfect for this card, so I'm going to use it. And since I own the company, I guess I can. because there's nobody saying I can't. It's the best thing about owning it. Think that you get a little sneak peek of what's to come. 3/4 of an inch for our first score line, and then 1/2 inch for the next. So 3/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch. And then you bend it back on both sides, then bend it forward on the next little line there. And at this point, when you're bending it forward, you can even bend it down if you want the banner to go a different way. And then I like to cut my fishtails in the middle and then have the side meet up. Okay. Okay, I want it there. Okay, so then I'm just going to take a standard size card and adhere this down. This would be really cute to adhere down. I just thought of on a light blue to go with the theme. I'm going to take my Wink of Stella pen and go in the middle of the raccoon's belly, on top of his eyes, just to give it a little shimmer. The nose, and I think on the tips of the trees. So that finishes our shaker card. I hope that this fun interactive card and technique inspires you to go and create something that's perfectly imperfect. So the next person on the hop, and you can either click right here in the right hand corner or below in the link. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.